Welcome to the Crypto Domain, your front row seat to crypto's biggest moves. Today we're going to dive into a token that's got everyone talking. It's been having a bit of a run especially over the last few weeks, but even the last couple of months really. It's called Virtual's Protocol, or the ticker is Virtual. Could this be the AI-powered gem that hits new heights in 2025? We know that AI is more than likely going to be quite a narrative going into this bull run. So far, it's had over 3,000% yearly surge. It definitely has people talking. We'll break down the tech, the price action, and why it might be your next big move. Stick around as we dive into Virtuals. So what is Virtual's Protocol? Well, probably the best way to explain it is imagine a launch pad like Shopify, but for AI agents. Next question is, what's an AI agent, right? An AI agent, it's like a software program that uses artificial intelligence to interact with its environment. So it can learn from data, it can make decisions to achieve predetermined goals that you may have set for it. So the digital characteristics that create the revenue across games, entertainment, social platforms, all those sorts of things is what Virtual's Protocol is. It launched as PathDAO in 2021 and then rebranded in December 2023. It's on Base and it's also on Solana. So it lets people tokenize and co-own the AI agents. The key innovation for this project, though, is the game framework. What is game framework, you ask? Well, the game framework is Virtual's Protocol's easy-to-use system, right? It lets anyone, and I mean anyone, even without coding skills, create, manage, and monetize AI agents. Think of it as, like a user-friendly app builder, but for digital characters that can chat, they can game, they can earn money online. In Virtuals, game stands for a step-by-step process, right? So the G is for generate. So you generate an agent with simple tools. A is for assign. So you assign it tasks and social media posts. M is for manage. So you manage its performance. And then the E is for earn. So you earn rewards through tokenization on Base and Solana. Now, this aligns really heavily with 2025's AI hype, right? So probably one of the big categories that people have been talking about is AI. So you think NVIDIA, so the NVIDIA's chip boom. Now, that's the sort of thing that's going to power this category through 2025. It's got a bit of a DeFi twist to it as well, making Virtual quite a standout in this market. Virtual's Protocol was co-founded by Jason Teng and Wei Qi Tu. So both of them are graduates of the Imperial College London. Teng holds a bachelor's in biotechnology and business management. He's had roles at Boston Consulting Group. Now, Tu, also an Imperial College alum, he has experience in private equity, consulting. Now, he's worked at firms like Creador, Anacap, and also BCG, right? He founded Diem Digital Marketing and Eldaro alongside Teng before establishing Virtual's Protocol. Now, the rest of the founding team is also pretty impressive. They bring experience in fintech, in software, in development, in digital marketing, cybersecurity. So it's a pretty strong team when you go through it. Okay, so let's jump in and have a look at some of the key stats and key information that we're interested in when we're looking at a token like this. So as we can see here, yes, we've had a pullback today, but so is the whole market. But overall, what I'm interested more in is over the whole chart, right? So what's the max? As we can see, it goes back here, December 23, which is when it changed names. The project changed names. As I said, it's originally from 2021. And then from there, it was pretty flat. We had the spike up, which a lot of projects obviously got around that November time into January before it started coming back down again. And now we're starting to see a bit of stabilization going on at the moment. Obviously, a bit of a pullback today, like the rest of the market. We can see it's got a maximum supply of 1 billion tokens with 655 million of those circulating. So 65% of it's circulating. I'll often like to have more than that, depending on what the unlock schedule is, right? Because there's two ways to look at this project. Are we looking at it purely as investment for this bull run? Then we really want to know what's going to be unlocked during the next, say, 6 to 12 months. I'm saying probably 6 months. That's what's more important. But then longer term, obviously, what's the unlock schedule for the rest of those tokens? Because the other 35% is obviously a large amount of tokens, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, you can get the links here. Perfect. You can go to your website. So you can get your main website, obviously, out of there. And you've also got a link here to your white paper. Now, in going through the white paper, it's quite good. It's quite well written, quite explanatory. There's a few little risks in there to be aware of, but I would suggest everyone, before investing in a project, they should at least read the white paper themselves or run that white paper through some AI models to get some summaries, to get some pros and cons and all those sorts of things. I would definitely recommend that for anyone looking at any project. Don't just take your information from someone online that you don't even know. Okay. And then obviously when I look at projects, it's going to be the socials. Okay. So I'm quite big on the socials. Obviously, it's one of the key factors that are going to drive things like your social, so your community, things like the innovation, and things like the narrative are going to be some of the key drivers, okay? Obviously, tokenomics can impact it if there's a whole lot to be released and dumped, or if VCs own a lot, but at the moment, we can see they've got 265,000 followers on X, which is a good following, a good strong following on X. They also have Telegram, which the link is there for Telegram as well. So you could jump in and have a look at that. That's got about 27,000 followers. Okay, so another thing I like to go into when I'm looking at the community, so is not only the social media accounts to check the following and that, I go into this Twitter score because I know people use Discord and they use Telegram, but I find Twitter is a really good, or X, is a really good one. So I'll come in here, I'll grab a copy of the name of their site or their handle. I'll then come into here and I'll post it in here. And I'll get a view of what is happening on that from a Twitter score perspective. So look, they're ranked excellent at 363, which is great. It says their followers, as you know, they joined in September 2021, which would have been under the old name of the project. So that all makes sense as well. And then, who are the top followers? So, these are some of the top followers. But look, it's got an excellent Twitter score from this site. So that is really good, I think, from a community perspective, which is really important, as I said, going into the bull run, because you want a community behind your project, because if no one hears about your project, it's not going anywhere. So that's another really good thing to use. So another site I use a lot now, this is more around the security side I use this, but there's a lot of good information on here. This is CertiK, the CertiK site. They've got a CertiK score for the project of 85, which is actually pretty good. You've also got another, if you like using the candle charts and that, it saves you going into TradingView as well. You can just use here, which pulls from TradingView. Look, there's security. So the code security is 75, nearly 76%, which is relatively good. The thing that you want to look at is around here. So has the project been audited? Okay. Now, I know this project, it hasn't been audited by CertiK, but does it have a third-party audit? Yes, it does. So it was audited back in October of last year. That audit was done by PeakShield. So, and they found as well, when they did their audit, there were no contract vulnerabilities at play. Now, one thing to be aware of if we're talking security is that Virtual's protocol, their Discord server got hacked and fake Google links, and that was posted. Now, that was a little while ago now. Like, this article is back in January. Okay, and we can see here January 8, which is around the top of Bitcoin, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so they did have that hack on their Discord. I'm not a big Discord user, but if that happened, watch the securities around their other socials and things like that. So always just be really, really careful. what else we got? What other rankings you get in here? You get market stability. So it's 98. Now that's relatively good as well, according to this. And that's based on token price, market cap, all those sorts of things. Again, really good. There is no CertiK bug bounty on it. Governance strength is 98%. Again, that's good. Token holder analysis. So token holders, there's nearly 30,000 token holders. And whale movement indicator, minimal activity from whales. Okay, so again, some good insights from there. Overall, the security sounds really good from here, and the ranking's pretty good as well. And another thing to look at, or I always look at, is when I look at the team, I also think of that not just as the team working on it, but I think of it as any VCs or backers or investors and things like that as well, because they'll often be a driver in one way or another of the price. I'm investing for price. Tech's great, long term, sure. But when I'm looking at this bull run and the next 6 months, I'm looking at where I can get price movement. And certain VCs, they don't often invest in things that are going to fail. So that's where that can be good. This site's called crypto-fundraising.info, and you can put your project, any project in here, and you will get out who's invested in the projects and things like that. So this one doesn't have any of those big ones in there. Now, one of the keys is going to be your tokenomics on any project. And what I mean by that is how much is owned by the team, how much is owned by VCs or early investors, what are the unlock periods, how much is owned by the community, all those sorts of things. So if we look here, right, we know that currently 650,000 of them are in circulating supply of the 1 billion tokens. Now, if we look here, we have 35%, right, which is to be determined, is classified as locked. Now, let's have a look at what the breakdown is. So the public distribution is 60%. So that's this green section we can see here. The liquidity pool is 50 million. Now that's locked for 10 years from my research. The next one is this section up here, okay? It's the dark TBD section, which is the ecosystem. Now, from what I've looked at, and I think it says it further down. At the moment, right, if we look at this, we can see that, let's bring this all the way out to October. So I reckon the top's going to be around, let's say it's Q4 top. What releases are happening in this time? So there's nothing to say nothing's going to be released. However, if we scroll down here, we can see ecosystem treasury, which is at 35%. Tokens are fully unlocked and vested. Maximum 10% emission per year for the next 3 years, subject to governance approval. So in reading that, and you might want to do more research into that, that's fine. But in reading that, 10% a year can be unlocked. It is locked for 10 years, which means of the 35%, okay, only 3.5% can be unlocked each year, which should not have a dramatic, yes, you could get a pullback on price on those releases, but there are tokens that are releasing that every month. So that tokenomics doesn't look too bad to me when I'm looking at that. It is still 35%, but all in all, doesn't look too bad. The next important question we have when looking at these is what exchanges is it available on? Now, you can look at this two ways, right? One way is if it's on tier 1 exchanges, it takes away a potential price driver. However, it can, and not always, because they centralized exchanges, those big exchanges do take meme tokens. So maybe with a bit of a grain of salt, but often they've done a bit of research into the project and the team before they list it. Not always though. So it can sometimes give you a little bit more confidence. Same as the longevity of a project. Like I won't invest in something that's less than 3 months old, full stop. I've just got a hard rule that I won't, because the chance of rug and that is exponentially higher. So it's the same if I'm looking at good solid projects. I want them to have been listed on a Binance, on a Coinbase, on a Kraken, something like that. So in here it shows you And this is just CoinGecko under markets for the token. It gives you all of the exchanges. It gives you the volume, percentage of volume they're trading. You know, you got Binance here, some of the big ones, okay? So you got Binance. I know as well you've got, I think it's crypto.com's in here. You got Kraken in here. Yeah, it's crypto.com right there. So yeah, it is on some of the major exchanges for you to get this token. It's also on obviously smaller and decentralized exchanges, okay? And if you come back here into the CertiK page, it actually gives you by volume a split of centralized versus decentralized exchanges if people are interested in that sort of information. So you got 92% of it, or 243 million of the volume is on centralized exchanges, whereas 8% or 21 million is on the decentralized exchanges. And another interesting fact is just around the revenue for those that might be interested in that information as well. I don't feel this is specifically going to drive a price surge in this run, but longer term, it's quite interesting. Virtuals protocol revenue down 97% as AI agent demand fades. So I think that's really just waiting for that AI narrative to pick up again. But it is a dramatic drop, so it could be a concerning. I wouldn't say for me personally it's a red flag at the moment. I just think it rides a narrative wave, especially this early. It's for this cycle, it doesn't drive it, but longer term, if you're looking at these investments for the tech and the long term, then maybe it's something that you're going to be interested in. Okay, so just something today can take a note of. You know, that's a massive drop. It was like from $1 million down to 35,000 or something. Where is it? Dropped to less than 35,000. So it peaked at 860, nearly $1 million. And drop down to that. So, okay, so that's the deep dive on Virtuals Protocol. So hopefully you got something out of that, right? It's really innovative tech that they're using for that. The game framework really letting anyone create and monetize AI agents. It's perfect for the 2025 run, where AI, I still feel is going to be a really big narrative, right? You're going to have AI narrative, you're going to have RWA. Still waiting for gaming to maybe come back, but there's quite a few, but I think AI is really going to be one of the ones that are out the front of the narratives that are running this bull run as we go into the back half of this year, definitely. I mean, after that rebrand they had in December 2023, it's shown so much resilience. The fact that it's around that 3,000% yearly surge, that's huge, right? And although the white paper sort of lacks a little bit, I would say, of some risk details that you might want to dig into a little bit more. It's got really strong security, as we saw, especially with that PeakShield audit. The community's buzzing, like 265,000 users or whatever it was on X, 27,000 on Telegram. The 95% or down to 35K a day drop in the revenue might be a red flag for some. For me, it depends on if you're looking really long term at the tech and what it can grow into, or if you're looking short term at the narrative and the community and things like that can potentially drive that price going into the back end of this year. So for me, it's not a massive red flag, but I can understand why it might be for some. But look, the utility shines. The tokenized agents, it's on two great chains in Base and Solana. Yes, I know Base is built on Ethereum. And also, it's got a strong team. It's got a really good team behind it with a lot of AI and blockchain experience. It's listed on big exchanges. So it's easily accessible for so many people to really get into it. The narrative is huge, as I said. So look, okay, where does it sit? What do I think of that project? Well, as I said, I've done a detailed research on it using my I was cutting process. I was cutting, which is all about the innovation, the white paper, the age, the security, the charts, the community, the utility, the team, the tokenomics, the exchanges, and the narrative. They're the categories that I will judge a project on. And I'll do a video on that, an in-detail video on that, but that's what I judge them on, right? For me, I've got 5 categories in that. And for me, it landed at number 2, right, as an outcome. So it's potential bull run star. Okay. Number 1's the highest out of the 5 categories. It landed just in that number 2 place, pretty close to number 1, actually. Look, it's one I'll be following really closely. I do not currently hold this token. Now, remember, I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I'm just a guide, okay? I'm not an expert. I'm just helping people do their research, right? And hopefully some of the stuff I give you in these videos gives you value, gives you ideas, maybe gives you resources you can go and use to do your own research. But it's really important you do your own research, okay? Look, at the end of the day, if you got value out of the video, please hit the like button, smash that subscribe, click the bell notification so you're notified every time I release a video. And look, crypto's an adventure. Get into it. I'll see you in the next one.